this was one performance measure which was also suggested as a KPI. And if you calculate that, you see, oh, Birmingham is the most successful regarding return on sales. They earn the highest profit in relation to the revenues. But obviously, investment turnover, which is revenues over total asset, is not as high. So if you do that, here, revenues over total assets, you see, revenue over investment turnover is only 62% in Birmingham, while it is 122% in London. This means you should not only consider how much profit a company earns with a certain amount of assets, but also how much revenues are generated with a certain amount of assets. And if you multiply these two numbers, you will see that we have the same numbers as before. I need to do one more. Yeah, it's the same as we have determined before. Now, following the story with our DuPont scheme, which should, here you have the results. And you can, of course, do an additional analysis based on the cost structure. What you see here is that the contribution margin ratio is quite high in Birmingham, but also fixed costs are relatively high in Birmingham. And this gives you an idea how your profit will develop in relation to increased sales. When the contribution margin ratio is very high, profit will increase quite steeply with increasing sales. If contribution margin is rather low, then profit will increase not as steeply with increasing revenues. And now it's about thinking, what options do we have in order to increase profitability? And we'll do one example. This is the Manchester Hotel. The Manchester Hotel currently achieves a return on investment of 18.46%. And the question is, what could management do in order to increase the return on investment up to 25%? And we go back to our Excel again. Or are you still in the Excel file? Maximilian, we are in the Excel. Can you see the Excel?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes? Okay. So, if return on investment for Manchester should be 25%. There are basically three options. First option is to decrease the assets. Decrease assets is basically an exercise which we could decrease fixed assets but this is rather difficult, or we could decrease our working capital. This is what we discuss in one of the next lectures. If we decrease our assets and keep revenues and return on sales constant, what we see is here return on sales stays with 20%. But we would like to have that number going up to 25%. So the question is, what is the target turnover for achieving a return on investment of 25%? And the answer is the target turnover should be 25% over 20%. So 125%. If return on sales stays stable, we require an investment turnover of 125%. And if the assumption is revenues stay the same, the question is how much asset do we need in order to achieve a target turnover of 125%? And the answer is current revenues over the target turnover of 125%. I don't know why this does not work at the moment. It's a formula and it should work for some reasons. But if you check it on your calculator, it is correctly done. Let's try to save it. Maybe it works then. No, obviously not. I don't know what the reason for this is. You will find out that target assets amount to 960,000, and the result is that something must be wrong with my Excel here, is that our required asset reduction is 1.3 million minus 960,000. Now it works. Strange. Hopefully it stays. So the second option to increase return on investment would be to increase revenues while you keep return on sales and the investment stable. So when you increase revenues and keep return on sales stable, again, you have the target turnover of 125%, because return on sales stays stable. And the question is, how much revenues do we need in order to achieve a target turnover of 125%? And the answer is 125% times the